We're trying to get the microphone to work. Want to thank you all for coming. I know there was a lot of traffic issues out today. Certainly turning maybe a 15-20 minute ride into an hour, or an hour ride into an hour and a half. Thank you so much for making that effort to come on in. There is no public comment. We do have some presentations today, so we want to stay on point and respect everybody's time. So no public comment. I would like to have a hand raised for declaration of conflict of interest, if I can get those. Melinda, Rebecca, 3. Anyone else? Chairman's comments. I'll keep these brief, but I would like to tell you everybody's a comedian. And look at the vote card. All in favor? All right. One thing I will say, there was 5 or 6 of us that were able to attend the Road Trip Nation and got some of these in front of the wide open range. And what an incredible program it was to see these young people that have been around the state interviewing with businesses and entrepreneurs and owners. It was just a blessing to see. I think our future really is in good hands. There's not enough seeing of that, and it is, Lori probably talked about, she added in her emails to us how you can go online and watch this video and watch these kids work.
Right here, QR code. If you're familiar with QR code, take your phone out, just click it, take this card with you. Please share. QR code is on the back. And this takes you to not only that, but other interviews, great interviews. Anybody want to know about Bitcoin or farming? You got it right there.
Bitcoin is scary. But thank you again for everybody that was able to attend. Also in your package, which is in the package every month, there is a calendar of events. Not only the remaining calendar of events for 2022, but also for 2023. And please put that in your day timers and your Outlook calendar, whatever you use for your calendars, please put those dates down. Next month on the 19th is our annual awards meeting, our year-end performance. We'd really love for everybody to be here on that. November 10th is the Red, White, and U job fair over at Gillies. You know, in years past, haven't seen a whole lot of board members attend to really see what goes on there. Veterans come in first and then the general public. I don't know how many companies this year maybe signed up and still a little ways away, but
We found all of Gillies, and we weren't able to do that for the last few years. That will hold, Stephen, about 220 employers, I believe, and usually there's a waiting list.
so it's very, very educational for us as far as what we look for at job fairs and job seekers. And then the 30th is the local Texas Workforce Conference that is here in Dallas at the Hilton Manitou, and Lori and Deborah will be sending out some emails there regarding the opportunity that we're going to do. So please look at those calendars and put the dates down. Next month also, we're going to present maybe a slate of officers for approval going forward. And I'd like Michelle, she is going to be heading up our nomination committee, so I'd like Michelle to comment. Now, Michelle can talk a long time and nobody's going to vote her out.
Thank you so very much, Chairman Deal. So first of all, I'm honored to chair this nomination committee process. As you know, the nomination committee is a group of board members who are responsible for the corporate governance of an organization. And the nomination committee will include the chair, which I just accepted. And this person is responsible for overseeing and managing the committee and its decisions. The committee in itself, Joe, is also responsible for evaluating and recommending the candidates for chair, vice chair, and treasurer. And so we will form a nominating committee. I will be reaching out to the field group so that we can present this slate by October the 19th. Just so that you all know, the nomination committee will present the full slate. But if you're interested in meeting someone a certain, please let us know. And then, I hope to convene a committee the week of October the 3rd. And so at that time, just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Next on the agenda is the report for Child Care Task Force by Susan. And Susan is unable to join us today. So if you would, if you've seen in your packet, I believe it's beginning
Page 6 and 7.
page 6 and 7, yes. Please be sure that was a report. They had a very productive meeting earlier this month. And please reach out there, excuse me, and just read the material that Susan provided, the board has provided in the packet. Very informative for us and some good goals that are set forth for the task force committee going forward. And next, the update workforce Dallas. This is Lynn McVie. Lynn, thank you so much for joining us.
Please,
You
Sam.
bet.
We know that might work. It doesn't work. It doesn't.
Hold on
work.
just a second. Yeah.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
Yeah.
All right, still on the phone.
Exactly. Workforce North in the city of Dallas. I was appointed by our mayor back in the start of the year. I will say, we're going to show a video on the quick PowerPoint presentation, that there has never been, and I could ask Lori, and I know she confirmed, more emphasis, more interest in this space. There is everyone that is trying to figure out how we we build our workforce, and it's simply because technology has really surpassed what our education system's been able to do. I mean, it is just a fact. And we haven't had until very recently, and I look at my friend Miguel Solis, the commit and all the wonderful work of the Dallas County Promise, that we were actually kind of digging into our middle and high school and saying, okay, let's put people on a trajectory where they can actually have a job. And so those are great programs. This is concentrated on an adult population. We're concentrating on our 25 to 64-year-old. When you think about that 25 to 64-year-old, the Dallas County Promise came along about 7-8 years ago. So we're talking about people who do not have access to that. We're going to play the video and then I'll show you kind of what our work is, but it's really hyper focused on the zip codes we know in the city. We've got generational poverty, and it really is focused on investing in those people, giving them the skills, giving them what they need to get out of that situation. The good news is there's a lot of great attention and work in this space right now. It's being very disrupted by technology, and I'll talk through a little bit of that. So I think I'm excited about it. I'm excited about us building our workforce. We're hyper focused on Dallas and the 1.3 million citizens that live here, with 40% being low income. So it's very specific work. There's a lot of focus in the space, and it's an exciting time. So I appreciate everybody being very interested in workforce. You are. I come to these meetings, and they're very early. And in fact, you've got a lot of people down here. You're engaged and you care, and you should. This is what's going to drive our city forward. So I've got a short video that hope works. Sound.
Is Stephen running it or you?
Stephen.
Oh, Stephen, no sound. Sorry, guys. I've heard it was good. What's fine. Take it. Everything we say. Still not here. And I'm. Two, right?
Because a whole lot of people are doing a lot of different things. And when it all comes together, we're more productive. We can accomplish more things. We earn more. Everybody does better when we lift up each and every year.
There's so many benefits that accrue from the community becoming more economically successful. And that's what this is about. It breaks the cycle of poverty within the household. You break it within the household, you break it within the block, you break it within the block, you break it within the entire neighborhood, and then that's how you transform an entire city.
There's a motto. I'm sorry. No one can hear. Can y'all unmute Alex, please? Thank you.
Well, while we're waiting, you can PowerPoint of the two women that were in the video. One has been placed in Parkland, and the other one we're actively working to do placement for her. I wanted to start with that video.
Steve, this is ridiculous.
Yes, I don't have the video there or the audio there. We can hear, but there is an echo.
Can you take YouTube off the screen, please? Completely. Hit the X. We've got several PowerPoints today, but get ready. No idea. Okay. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, make it full.
Okay, all right, so I wanted to start real quickly, so we're ahead and I'm gonna throw it all behind because of the technical difficulties, to show you the population that we're working on. I think when the mayor appointed me in this role and all of you are sitting in this role, you're thinking, oh my God, why are we doing more stuff in workforce? Well, we're really hyper focused on, again, we determined by working with Parkland, the zip codes that we know where there's the biggest gap and the need for employment. And so, and it's also a very specific age group. So again, we've got great things happening with the DSD and Dallas College and all the P-Tech and early college, but there really is a lack of, there's been a lack of opportunity for a lot of folks. And so we know, if you want to go to the next slide, Stephen. The Dallas, when you look at Dallas in the region, it's funny, when I talk to people about this work, they're like, oh my God, everything's growing, it's just blowing up. If you take the suburbs away and you take everything that's not specifically Dallas, our 1.3 million citizens, we are not growing, y'all. We lost 25,000 people in this census last year. And so that is not a good thing. So how do we, start to kind of reverse that trend? Can you go to the next slide? So the unequal opportunities we've had, again, talking about the zip codes, and we're focusing on 6 right now in our kind of pilot program, are where there have been in 75215 and 75216. So it's a lot of the ones we talk about a lot. So when you think about the folks that are living in those zip codes that haven't had access to the opportunity, we haven't been training them up, but we've been importing talent to fill our talent gap. And so the donut and the I guess you could say the divide between north of 30 and south of 30 has gotten even larger. And so this is work that's really hyper focused on giving these people the jobs and the skills they need to move forward. Go to the next slide. So these are some numbers. Y'all probably know these numbers, but I wanted to highlight them. 35% of the city of Dallas population are these adult workers, these 25 to 64-year-olds. We know that the jobs held by Hispanics, 40% are facing automation. So we're gonna have a lot of people who are gonna lose their jobs if we don't start to, upskill. More than 30% of households that are headed by a single woman live in poverty, and it's 40% of the woman has children. And both of those women in that video had children. So, and then 40% of households in Dallas are low income. We know that our Black and Hispanic neighbors, that this is really, really hitting them the hardest. If we go to the next slide. So our vision is very simple. It's to be very targeted and very hyper focused on these neighbors in our community that are 25 to 64 that need help. We have engaged a lot of corporate partners with the you'll see we've got about 18, but we actually have about 140 now. We've been working with them to identify what are those jobs within each of those industry verticals. We're focusing on transportation logistics, healthcare, IT, construction trades, which is huge, especially with some of the great infrastructure projects that we'll be doing, and then light manufacturing. And so within each of these industry verticals, saying to our corporate partners, tell me what the jobs are, but not just tell me what the jobs are, tell me what that upward mobility path looks like. So to give you an example, we're doing a pilot project right now with Parkland Hospital. And Parkland is a great partner. They have got, you can come as a patient care technician, you might take 8 to 10 hours more and you start working up, and they've got grids, and they're really very disciplined about their work and getting working with us to help us make sure that we're getting folks into that, upward mobility career pathway. So engaging with corporate partners, then working with local college, university, technical schools, and nonprofits. That's what we're doing. We are on the ground. We're bringing these resources into the community. So our pilot right now is with 4 Oak Cliff. It's a 75216 zip code. And so Taylor Torrance, who's got a database of about 10,000 people reaching out. And we are having workforce mixers every weekend. And I went last weekend, and in the first hour, we hired 5 people. And I know that sounds like a lot, but 5 people and looking after it's a lot. We had Amazon there. We had Upsmith, which is a technology platform for construction trades. Y'all might have read a little bit about that, which is also very interesting. Technology is disrupting this field too. There's a lot of places to go online and to train and to get that skill and to kind of on your own take agency of your work and how you're going to go through that career path. So it's been great. So, and then of course, Dallas College is a wonderful partner. We're working on software right now. It's actually a Salesforce system, but it's got some extra kind of bells and whistles to actually, follow the trajectory that people were placing. And then also the navigation piece, which we're lucky in that a lot of these nonprofits we're able to embed there. We're not setting up bricks and mortar. We're going into the community. We're bringing the jobs. We're bringing the training. We're talking to everyone and with their intake about what their barriers are. And it's interesting, of our first 200 people, 70% are underemployed. It's not that it's that they are busy. They're in this video. They've got their head down. They're working multiple jobs. They're doing what they have to do, and they cannot think about what the opportunities are, and they haven't thought about, oh my God, if I go work for Amazon, I can make $60,000 and not $45,000. And so a lot of it's about awareness. It's about, working with people and figuring out what their particular barriers are. We know so much of y'all's focus is on childcare, which is great because it is the #1 barrier. And then transportation being next. Do you want to go to the next slide? So our 6 pillars of success, because we're being we are measuring everything. We're going to be real honest with, how much this work is doing and how we continue to grow it. So I was talk about reducing barriers, upskilling, which simply means sometimes making people aware. We have people coming in that have credentials, that have different kinds of certificates, digits have not been properly matched. Identifying geographic hotspots, which we talked about that. We're right now at 4 Oak Cliff. We're going to go to Jubilee next. We're going to go to Bottom Lake and start to work with the major and then also Catholic Charities, major big nonprofits that have a good infrastructure that can help us as we bring our resources in. Growth industries, I talked about what our growth industries are and local agreements and partnerships. So this is interesting. We want to be partners. We look at ourselves as a convener and a resource. We're going to be partners with as many people as we can be to work to get our citizens working. So we are with our corporate partners, we've got live agreements, but this is really us all collaborating and coming together to move our our neighbors that need this desperately forward. Job matching tech solutions. I talked about Upsmith. There's a lot of these. Upsmith is focused on construction trades, and I think we'll be bringing a new convention center online. We'll be doing some great work at Fair Park. and in meeting with all of the, the Becks and the Austins, we do not, and their subs do not have a trained enough workforce in construction trades. The average age of a construction worker is 46. And so in talking with Wyatt Smith of Upsmith, it's right now they're doing HVAC, but they're going to bring a lot of the other masonry and all the other things online, and they're apprenticeships. So they're things that people can be paid at, work at, and we can start to develop our workforce, because in March, we're going to need thousands of people to go build these buildings. And unless we get ahead of it now, we will not be ready. So we're working on that right now. And then comprehensive outreach, working with these nonprofits, they know their neighbors trust them. So when Taylor sends an email, people come, and we're having another mixer this weekend. And I was talking to our Judge Jenkins. He said, Lynn, he said, one of the things about this is you need to make it kind of repetitive such that people get used to, oh my God, every Saturday I can go and I can have really targeted help on a Saturday. I can get trained on a Saturday and make it just, over and over and over, because and I know I'm talking to people in the room that know this, but when you're asking people that have no resources, don't have good transportation to go kind of figure it out, like go get in front of a computer, go to a job center and play around on the computer, it's not going to work. I mean, this is a much higher touch. This is let me ask you what you need. And we've called in our beta test, we have 200 people, we've called them all multiple times. Guess what they say? I can't believe anybody's calling me. I can't believe you're calling me. I mean, they are so used to going into a center or trying to figure it out online. And this is not a critique. This is just where the system is. And so the system is changing. I mean, it is. Technology is making it change. And so, that we're able to, with the nonprofits, bring people in, because then the nonprofits have the trust of their community. Can you go one more slide, I think, and then we're done. And so we've now got probably 130 more employers, but we're starting right now with Fort Cliff, and like I said, we'll go to Jubilee. We've got lots of jobs from working with Amazon, working on a mechanic training program with DSD with Dallas College right now. That's going to bring a mechanic program into Executive Airport down at Redbird. And so that is being planned right now. Beck Construction, in WSP, a lot of things again around construction trade. So we are, we're a lean group. There's probably about 7 people. I am an appointee, I'm not paid. All of this is privately funded right now. And so we're able to move quickly, try different things. And so I'm very excited. We'll be announcing some numbers, but we are placing people in jobs and we are tracking them and we're staying with them. And it's a higher touch approach. And so, when you start thinking about scalability, but I think the technology piece we're wrapping in there, I feel like will get us to the scalability. But anyway, it's a fascinating space. I appreciate the little bit of time on your agenda. Look forward to, partnering with solutions, and you're already a huge partner in this space because you do so much in childcare, and we know that, and it has to, we've got to keep that solid and strong, because it is the #1 barrier to why people can't work. So please go to workforcedallas.org. You can see that video without all the disruptions and hear it. You can also on there's an intake form if you want to. You have jobs you want to provide, or if you're a training partner, we're measuring obviously the placements. We're also measuring trainings created, jobs created, amount of time in the jobs, and you can see all of our metrics that are up there. So we're a lean, fast moving machine, and it's very exciting, and it's good to have all the eyes focused on really getting our workforce for the future. So appreciate y'all's time this morning. Molly's got a question.
What time are you in Oklahoma?
So 10 to 2, so come by. Yeah, we'd love to have you. Yes.
Lynn, talk to us about where you see the synergies between what you're doing and what Workforce Solutions is doing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, that's what we've already talked about, there happens to be in 75216 no Head Start. There is not a program there. So I can see a situation where we are able to partner to relieve what some of those burdens are. So I think it's a matter of looking at, the assets that Workforce Solutions has and how can we partner to relieve some of the burdens that we're seeing. So that's one thing. And I think that's bringing childcare, really good childcare into that zip code is one thing. I think the other thing would be looking at all of the different grant making that you do and seeing if there is a space for upskilling dollars that could come to, if we could perhaps be a vendor or something for Workforce Solutions. But I think there's a lot of ways that we can collaborate, but yeah. I think, the centers that you have is, I'm curious about that, all your workforce centers. There's ways to, again, get those things really humming. They can't be, embed someone from Workforce Dallas in there that we're embedding in some of the nonprofits and really kind of activate some of those centers. I know the Center of Redbird is very active. I don't know how active maybe the one at City Square and some of the other ones are. So, just collaborating on assets that you already have and bringing us to help. I mean, it's going to take like everybody trying to row in the same direction. That's what we really want to do. So I think in terms of, childcare resources with any of the grants, if you see there might be opportunities, having us help in some of those centers, if that's a possibility. So a lot of things.
I could just add, we've been involved since the beginning. I was on the Cicero committee, never missed an
Yeah.
interview, and I was one of the few that pushed for people cannot give up what they have to get what they need. And that is the mayor's story.
Yeah.
His parents could not do that to better themselves. So this is a gap in our system.
Yeah.
But the upskilling money, if you recall, we did 650,000 no employer takers. We're still working on that. It's not over, but nobody wanted it. But we're trying to
Yeah.
thread the needle.
Yeah.
We know that need exists.
Yeah, and I think we can maybe bring some employee partners that could take advantage of that money, but to Lori's point, this is like a personal, it's an important issue for our city, it's a personal issue for our mayor. I mean, he talking about this in 2019 when we ran for Mayor Miguel, he was talking about workforce, and we're like, workforce, we're talking about police and infrastructure, but it's because it was personal. He moved 11 times as a child. He didn't have that, that stable environment. He had parents that had they had an opportunity to work at Amazon, they probably would have, and so this is a huge gap, and it's a gap because, like I said, until the last 7 to 8 years, we didn't have a Dallas County Promise and these great programs, and so, so lots of opportunity. We've got to explore it.
And what are the next steps? From your-
Yeah, no. So right now, we'll be announcing our outcomes with Parkland, but we're bringing on all of these different employee partners next, and then we'll move also to Jubilee, and we'll go to Bottom Lake together. And it's interesting because the demographics are different, and so the jobs, at Bottom Lake together, highly Hispanic, you've got people working in these hotels for $12 an hour. That's the other thing. This is not about $12 an hour work. This is about $22 an hour work. This is about bringing people out of poverty. It's not about just giving them a job and having them grind away, cleaning a room all day. And there's not any disrespect to that, but this is really bringing people out of poverty and giving them, showing them, what the opportunities are. Because they've got their head down working hard. They just don't know. So.
Lynn, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yep.
We've got 10 minutes over now.
I apologize. I mean, I'd love to ask you maybe.
Yeah.
a couple questions,
Yeah, of course.
if you don't mind. First, I want to say, I think the proximity to the people is gonna be key to all of it, right? Being where they are, using the data to point you to where that they are. So kudos on that. I just asked 2 questions. Question number 1 around the technology side. So you talk about proprietary software, I think software maybe like Salesforce or something. And then also the ability to be able to have navigators to help these individuals through the system. Can you maybe just talk a little bit more about how that ultimately works? And then the second question I've got for you is the scale of this all. So you alluded to the fact that you're a volunteer, and there are, I think, 7 individuals somewhere that are doing this work. How do you get to scale over the course of
Technology. It really is. So embedding with our strongest nonprofits that have robust CRMs. So for example, for Uplift, the 10,000 people that they have, building our Salesforce that is unique in that it's measuring a lot of different touch points that maybe normally you wouldn't want to measure, like how much is a person coming up for GED training, or how much is a person coming to take, just measuring things that show that someone's proactive, because we want to do is we want to tell employers, we've got people that want to work, right? That are ready to work. And so there's a lot of different metrics that we're laying into that. So proprietary, meaning, Salesforce with a lot of different other kind of categories of things we're measuring. What I'd love to do, and we're working on this, and this doesn't exist, is have that software married with kind of a match.com where you actually, so that those talk, apparently, like this is, one of them's blockchain and one of them's not, I'm not a technology expert, so they're very hard to pull together. So you literally have to have two systems. You have to have a system that lets you identify and kind of measure, like, what are these people's skills, where are they good at, how much initiative are they showing about the different things we're measuring. They're coming in for training, or they're coming in for GED, or they're answering the phone when we call them, whatever that is. Building Miguel's profile and then having Miguel's profile kind of served up to all these employer partners. They're like, well, Miguel comes, he shows up all the time. He's somebody that he might not have these skills, but he, so doing that matching piece. So that would be, I guess, TBD. The other kind of technology that I'm alluding to is the Upsmiths of the world. That have got, the companies with the apprenticeships where you go on and you sign up, and then they've got one of their people that interacts with you and gets you in that kind of construction trades. There are going to be these for all of these different industry verticals. I mean, it's not business as usual. People are like, let me go find, and I love Dallas College, I'm on the foundation board, so this is meant to be critical, but a lot of people aren't going to be going to Propel Construction Trade School because it's not proximate, and they're not going to be going to try to find these training opportunities are. They're going to be doing a lot of stuff online, and that's why you see so much of these online types of groups right now, like Upsmith. Y'all should check it out. It's pretty cool technology. And then in terms of scalability, this is hard. I mean, it's hard. This right now is very, I think we're getting good results because it is so high touch. And I think the way to systemize it will just be just through technology. I mean, just doing things that we're doing that are successful over and over and over. Having the things every Saturday, setting up all the different industry verticals so that that you can get training every Friday. I mean, it's making a system, it's systemizing it. And so we're still figuring that out. I know you're on time to help, but you're good at this kind of stuff. I'd love to have your help. No, it is. It's systemizing what works, and we're starting to see what works. And so, yeah, the technology is. I mean, it is not. No, it's not people going into a workforce center and it's not business as usual. It's a very different. I'll answer your question. We can talk offline too. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Definitely. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I certainly would encourage everybody, if there is any more questions that you may have for Lynn, certainly get with her offline and see if we can participate and help more. Now we're on the next program, Innovations Update by Lynn number 2.
Yes, I know, Lynn Squared. I'd like to use the microphone if I may.
It's going to interfere.
Really?
You just
Okay.
have to.
It's just, I know there are some folks that may not be able to hear, and I sometimes don't project, but I'll do my very best. So good morning, everyone. I'm Lynn Hoffman, Senior Innovation Strategist. And I'm very excited to be here to tell you about the innovation revolution that we are imparting on. And I love that Lynn was able to share those pillars. I'm going to share with you how we're supporting those pillars for success. These projects are local, regional, statewide, and national. The scope is very important. It provides these opportunities for us to pilot new ways of providing upskilling and reskilling opportunities in our workforce centers and to the people that live here in Dallas County. We are always looking at opportunities for higher skills and higher wage, which follows right along with what Lynn just presented. As a part of this innovation, I've been with Workforce Solutions for 5 years, just had my anniversary here. And we have been able to provide these opportunities to over 6,000 individuals. These individuals generally have not participated in or engaged with our workforce system. So we are reaching outside of our workforce centers to be able to provide these opportunities. And so far, as we continue with this revolution, over 2,200 have been able to receive a certification that's leading to higher wages. These are industry recognized credentials.
And Lynn, all of this is private money.
Yes.
That's
So
what
I
this report is
primarily
about.
focused on private funding that we receive from philanthropic organizations, foundational monies. And those partnerships generally come to us. At times we apply for grants, but most of the time just based on our location, our ingenuity, our ability and experience, and how unique we are as a workforce system, they come and ask us to please use these funds to target individuals to give these amazing opportunities. They're industry specific in many cases. The one that we've been working on the longest for 4 years is Retail Pays. Retail Pays is designed to upskill frontline workers, and this funding comes from Walmart.org. Those that have received these certifications are primarily receiving online training through Penn Foster, which was one of our primary partners. And you can see, based on the ethnicity, their employment status, age, and gender, we are reaching individuals that this can really give them a life-changing opportunity. And so 18 to 24 years old, based on those that have completed the certifications, and I'll tell you a little bit more about them. They have high school, some high school, or just a high school diploma. So we're looking at those that are really in need of these opportunities. And at the time they enroll, they're earning between $10 and $15 an hour. You can also see that this training is in partnership with employers. So we can't do this without our employer partners. And you can see here that we've benefited some of the major grocery food chains, CVS Health, the Concilio, DART, and Cafe Momentum, just to name a few of the employers that have participated. And many of our partners are the cornerstone of our community. And you'll see there's a lot of overlap with what Lynn just shared, that these partnerships are expansive, and we're all pouring and working together to be able to provide these training opportunities through this private funding. One of our very successful partnerships has been with the AEL organization. I really want to share a little bit about them. Very excited with Irving ISD, Richardson ISD, and the Wilkinson Center. We've trained 90 of these learners, and they've been trained in warehouse and in retail fundamentals. They got a brand new Samsung tablet to help them continue their journey in lifelong learning. It's very exciting. And I just want to say, all of these photos, I can't help but smile when I look at them. As I flip through them, I couldn't delete a single one. So there are lots of them there. And I want you all to really see the joy on their faces, how excited they are. And I want to share one success story with you. Angel completed the warehouse logistics and distribution credential training in just 2 weeks. He took his certificate to his job, was immediately getting a 30% pay increase to $12 an hour. They informed him that they would consider him for the next position that became available. He said that the class helped him to gain some skills to use the machinery, and he also felt that his vocabulary had increased in that industry. Very exciting. Our next slide tells you a little bit about our work with the Concilio. The mission of the Concilio is to build stronger communities by unlocking opportunities for Latino families. We were able to provide them with Microsoft training and professional communication skills.
Lynn, are you running the PowerPoint or Stephen? Stephen, go back one. Thank you.
There we are.
All female class.
Yes, they completed on time, 100% participation. And this, as you know, is a nonprofit organization. So just one more of the employers we were able to work with through retail payments. And last but not least, next slide, I'd like to share with you about Cafe Momentum. Cafe Momentum's mission is to transform young lives by equipping our community's most at-risk youth with life skills, education, and employment opportunities to help them achieve their full potential. I work directly with Mary Watson. She's their employment manager. She wanted me to share this with you all. Cafe Momentum Academy started in August of 2019 with 16 students. In partnership with Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas, they launched an educational program through Penn Foster High School. 44 students now have their high school diploma. This is amazing and it's life-changing for them. 25% have gone on to go to college and into further education. One former student graduated in June. She's enrolled at Tyler College. She's evolving as she journeys into the new chapter of her life. She's president of the Black Student Association and an ambassador for the Momentum Advisory Collective, which travels around the world helping spread the initiative for Cafe Momentum to start that in many other areas of our country. She's traveled to various cities throughout the United States, and she's involved in multiple internships throughout the South, advocating for at-risk youth. This is one of the individuals we've been able to support and serve as well. Retail Pays ended last month with over 2,800 enrolled. Well over half of those started the training and 54% completed the certification. This is adult learning at its best. Some of the things that we learned is that these online competency-based certifications that lead to college credit are very successful, very attractive to employers. The online high school, that's not a GED, it's an actual diploma, and reskilling individuals from customer-facing or frontline work into other organizations. And the strategy of using boot camps to bring people quickly in through their entry-level skills into that job opportunity has been very successful.
Stephen, I believe you're one behind.
So next slide.
That was you were
Texas.
just reporting. Oh, no, Pat. Thank you.
Yeah, Pass for Texas mirrors what we did with retail pays. We were doing well there. And Walmart decided that we should expand throughout the state. And so we launched Pass for Texas in 2019. And the success there has allowed us to expand to 4 workforce boards in the area. And I want you to meet Saul. This is one of our success stories as well. He's a job seeker who was unemployed at the time he enrolled. He took advantage of these free resources. He took the National Retail Federation bundle of courses. There were 5 of them. And he took some software courses as well to learn how to use a computer. He said that these gave him the skills and confidence to be able to apply, interview, and actually gain employment. First thing that he did is he was very honored to be a part of the program. He's dedicated all of his time to studying every single day. He had the best time learning how to use the computer because that was something he hadn't done in the past. He was not only able to finish the program, but he did the Microsoft courses, and it was a great experience. He really appreciates the opportunity and the free courses that he was able to provide. So we are in our 4th year with PATS. Over 1,100 people have been enrolled, and 56% have completed their training. What's interesting is 1,300 certificates have been awarded. That's more than have enrolled because we're bundling those credentials, which is very exciting. A lot of collaboration between all the boards here.
We're remembering the governor's visit and trying to decide, was that 3 years ago or 4 years ago? The governor actually,
November of 19.
Yeah.
okay, the governor actually gave us $250,000 toward this, but everything else came from Walmart.
Yeah, so what was exciting there is that's one of our initiatives that we've learned. And as Lynn was speaking, it's that technology that connects you to the learning and to the training and job opportunities. We launched the Paths for Texas Gateway. And that's been a learning experience platform that these individuals can take advantage of to further their career, to further their learning after they finish the Paths for Texas.
And it was sort of unprecedented that we would get the money. It was intended to go to the state, but it had to be a nonprofit since we had a history. They gave us the money and to oversee 4 board areas additional. And those 4 areas are very appreciative. The directors are constantly saying there's merit in this. And it was teaching them how to do more than what you do with government money. That's key.
So, and the next I wanted to share with you is about Prologis. And you may not have heard about Prologis, but they acquire and develop the largest collection of high-quality logistics real estate in the world. Over 850,000 people work in those facilities. And through this initiative called the Prologis Community Workforce Initiative, they're investing in the next generation for logistics specifically and growing that talent. And they came to us in 2020, right at the height of the pandemic, when the whole supply chain boom was happening. We were able to work with them to help meet some of these specific goals to increase employer engagement and bring knowledge about careers in this sector to our community. We've partnered with the Inland Port as well, bringing jobs into that area, which is in high demand and also is one of our opportunity zones in the marketplace. We are continuing to provide this training and offering best practices to a community of practice. They call on us regularly to talk about what we're doing in Dallas. They informed us on a call last week that we are doing 5 times what some other markets are doing. And they want to know, what is our secret? And our secret is this amazing community and the embrace that we have from employers and from our workforce team, our system, and how we're able to actually implement a lot of these innovative projects. In 2 years, we have enrolled 983 people, and 39% so far have completed some training. It's very exciting to be a part of that. Next is the Future Work Grand Challenge. So again, we were approached and we were given the opportunity to work with 2 very unique, innovative partners in this. So the goal of the Future Work Grand Challenge, powered by New Profit, JFF, X Prize, and MIT Solve, were equity at the very core. So seeking ideas from diverse entrepreneurs advancing these solutions by working with workforce boards to serve underserved populations and underinvested workers. We were paired with a couple of different projects, as I mentioned, with Team Vital. We were able to provide hands-on virtual reality clinicals and labs to prepare people for medical device sanitation, to be able to sterilize that equipment. 42 people finished the training, 30 of them found related employment. Our partnership with Arts to Work is very important. It's in partnership with Pegasus Media Project, and it's very much housed in the heart of Dallas. It's an apprenticeship program, the first of its kind for digital media, digital arts. And we've worked with them to bring 14 individuals through a free apprenticeship training. 100% of them are now working in a career that they love. They came to us with such a passion and said, I never could see myself in this job. And we were able to work with Arts to Work to give them that opportunity.
What community group did we work with, the community?
We worked with the Dallas community art. Can't remember the name of it exactly, but yeah, in the Dallas area down there with the Dallas Arts Community Center. And Pegasus Media Group. And what they are doing now is working in the library, because they've been able to partner there and use those facilities for their next cohorts. We have a waiting list, by the way. And we want to speak a little bit about metrics learning. So this opportunity came from Texas Workforce Commission. It was provided as an online learning resource during the pandemic to help those that had been displaced. In 2021, we launched our own portal. And so far we have over 1,100 that have enrolled, and 40% are taking courses to gain new skills. And this is very interesting and innovative because it's a state piloted program. It gave us the opportunity to be able to provide credentials and certifications for career advancement and industry recognized certifications as well. And so as we look at all of these opportunities, I want you to know that we're continuing to upskill and we are continuing to build careers. We've got new opportunities like Grow with Google and the IBM Skills Build and LinkedIn Talent Solution is going to give us a great way to connect these individuals to amazing jobs. So what have we learned? People can't give up what they have to get what they need. So we need to be very flexible, provide these learning opportunities that are available to adults that are working and learning at the same time. We need to design these innovative projects with the employer in mind. They are the pinnacle. They are our primary customer as we go through this process. Understand the career path and the skills that are needed and offer it to people who will be successful in that area. We found some interesting ways to look at transferable skills to allow people to move into new job opportunities with very little effort, with amazing opportunities. And just as Lynn had mentioned, we want to help to support by providing some type of gift card, some type of opportunity for this individual to be able to survive and overcome and supplement the cost of training. It costs them nothing for the training, but their time and their efforts should be rewarded as well.
And Lynn, metrics and Prologis are available to everything in Workforce Dallas, correct?
Yes,
That's the other thing we wanted to present today, Lynn. So much of this is open. It is provided. You'll hear about metrics. You'll hear other people put a brand on it. We have a portal. The college has a portal. It is open. It is available, and it's very easy to connect your program with these programs. Prologis particularly, metrics, which other one?
well, many of them are available. Some of them are specific.
Retail
to
pays is
individuals.
not. We're done.
Yes, yes. But those are two, and then of course, well, we would
I'd love to bring him in on Saturday. I'd love to, you can come down on Saturday before the flip, I'm 10 to 2 and I'll be, it'd be great.
Exactly. And my last but not least, and this is something that Lynn also mentioned, technology is just a tool, and it's an important tool. But to be able to connect with someone who cares, that's what makes these individuals, this is what will make people successful. Thank you. Any questions, thoughts?
Excellent, excellent.
Thank you.
To kind of answer Ken's earlier question, I think that shows some of the synergies that are that parallel both approaches. That was a great presentation on both sides. And hopefully we can get together on Saturday for that too. Next on the agenda, we're going to try to keep up. It's the consent agenda. I trust everybody's read that. And so do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? So Ken, do I have a second? Ellen, all in favor, go ahead and say aye. All opposed, same sign. Do we have anybody on?
We were fine.
Okay.
Abstentions, I'm noting Belinda, Naga, and Rebecca for anything pertaining to those areas. Any other abstention?
All right, we'll move along to the president report.
I
Already got 2 minutes.
I will pass. No, move on.
Really?
Yeah.
Let the record show.
You did.
I'm in shock and needed a defibrillator.
Now you're scared, right?
What the- All right, next, we have another presentation, our final presentation of the day, but very important with Equus Workforce Solutions. So that's, you're up.
And I know
Thank
there's
you guys for coming.
there's at least one person who needs to leave the board. We are beyond quorum. We're in good shape. Just please kind of signal when you're leaving. Because I know you have to make other appointments, but thank you. I want to make sure we get you guys on. I know you come from Louisville, far away, or Florida. Tampa.
I'd like to think that you just gave up your time so that I could be on. Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm Mark Douglas, president of Equus Workforce Solutions. I live in Tampa, Florida. Want to tell you that it's just a privilege to be here with you all today to represent 181 employees that live, work, and give their best every day in your community. And really, that's my favorite part of the job is, during the pandemic, we stopped traveling and we stopped getting to see people in person. And that you all are actually in a room to see and hear all the great things that are going on. It's really refreshing as we really start on what I think is the next journey of workforce development in the United States. We're looking, out at what's going on. We have a lot of media telling us one thing, but what I can tell you right now is that in the pandemic, we changed how we serve people. We went from a real bricks and mortar, people coming in every day to now we're what I would consider a hybrid model, where you have people that are connecting the way that's most comfortable for them. And that can be online, on the phone, on video. We're seeing people access services in a completely different way across the country. That's not unique to Dallas. But what I can tell you is when I talk about some of our best operating programs and where the innovation happens, it really is right here with Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas. That when I say, hey, Tara, are we going to do something? And she says, we're already working on it. That's a testament to the people here in this community that are really thinking out of the box on how to bring the services to the community that needs it. Great presentation by the Lens today. That's an example of how the braided services within this community really are getting there. And so now it's about making sure that we're communicating. If we don't have staff there on Saturday, I'm sure we will. And I'm sure it'll be this time. Can we go to the next slide? So real quick about Equus. We are 37 states, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands. We're in Canada now. It's a little over 3,000 employees that really every day are about changing lives. My team's always pushing me and says, hey, what's our mission? What's our vision? And for me, who's been doing this for 22 years, the veteran work study in the very beginning, everybody that we touch, we change a life. And what I've started really talking about is it's not the one person that you help get that job. But if you think about the holidays that are coming, we're getting ready to have Thanksgiving. And the person that accesses services next week and gets that job that maybe they didn't have, now gets to really start talking about Thanksgiving dinner. Or maybe it's they get to have Christmas gifts. And I think that gets lost on all of us because we talk about a lot of numbers and we talk about volume of services. But when you boil it down, the people that are doing the services on the front line get to really be proud of the services that they do. When they built this slide, was looking through it and I was like, boy, they really should put a star on Dallas.
It would have been good and a much bigger size.
That's right. When Lori calls and says, hey, what should we be doing next? You know, that's not just talking about here in Dallas, it's talking about us as a national program. I consider us stewards of your money. And so how we invest those dollars back in the community really is important to be a collective discussion, whether it's people going to training or connecting with the employer and really deciding how we can support those apprenticeship programs that are important, or just, you know, rapid reattachment. Next slide. So our partnership in Texas is critically important to me as an organization, but also as you think about how the forefront of workforce services, we're partnered in 8 different workforce boards. I have the distinction of, you know, if you're number one in one region, you're not number one in another. But it's really about leveraging those best practices to make sure that services are being delivered in a really important way, but also thinking about the people that serve. And so I know later in the slides, and I think your last board meeting, you celebrated the Choices performance. My first job right after I was graduated college was welfare work. And so Choices becomes that thing that, you know, I know a lot about, and Tara goes, oh my God, he's calling again. And what happened through that program is we had complete disengagement. We had people that really were looking at, you know, they didn't have to participate in the traditional way. And what the local team really did was they started engaging in a really finite way, inviting people into the service, really connecting with them to make sure they understood what we can provide. And then giving them the option to participate in that new hybrid way. Like I said, you know, as big as we are, we're really a small town operation. It's really about the local people. You know, I've got a lot of the team here. They should take a victory lap at some point this year, hopefully at the award ceremony for some of the great work that they did. I know we're a little behind on time, so I don't want to continue to talk about me, but do want to bring up Tara. Tara is your local leader. She's the one that really drives change in the community. She's the one that holds everyone accountable, but she's also the trusted business partner of yours to make sure that the services that you're expecting get delivered on a daily basis. Tara?
I don't know about all that.
Come on, man.
Good morning, my name is Tara Dunn, and I am the project director for Equus Workforce Solutions. I have the pleasure of working with a very diverse team. I would like for the Equus team to please stand. I want to give you faces to the centers and so you'll know who's where. So Tammy Cooper is our center director for the Opportunity Center.
And Tammy, we are extending your lease. Congratulations.
Darnella Jackson is the center director for the Irving Workforce Center. David Corzo is the center director for Grand Prairie. Sheree Meanyweather is the center director for Greenville. Otis Hewitt is our Garland location. Carmel Goodson and Redbird Workforce Center. Pat Washington at Pleasant Grove. And last but not least, Felicia Rayburn, our new location at these individuals have a well-versed knowledge of the programs On average, our team has about 14 years of workforce experience. And they've all previously worked on the front line, so they understand the customer's needs, and so they can relate. Let's see. I also wanted to speak to the number of languages that we speak in the centers, because I think that's very important. We speak 12 different languages. Very proud to say 3 of those centers that I just mentioned are well versed in American Sign Language, which we know is very important. Wow. All right, so we're gonna talk about the vision that me and my team share here locally, which also translates to how we are national. Our vision is to provide exemplary workforce services, assistance, and support to individuals and families in the communities that we serve, making an impact that changes their lives for the better. Right. Each of our communities kind of serve kind of distinctly. So for instance, the Greenville, Garland, Grand Prairie, and urban locations, they typically see a higher number of unemployment insurance claimants seeking employment. And on the other hand, our Pleasant Grove, Opportunity, and Redwood centers see individuals that have a lot of barriers to employment, have little to no work history. And so we serve this population. First of all, we understand that customer service is important, right? We get it right on the front end, everything else seems to flow. Any of their successes, they're willing to share with us. Our integrated teams in each of the centers include team members from not only Edwards, but also Texas Workforce Commission, the Texas Veterans Commission, Child Care Group, Vocational Rehabilitation Services, and our partner agencies total about 163 staff, 163 staff. And as Mark mentioned, we have 181 staff. Mark also mentioned we've had to learn how to serve people differently, right? So virtually, we provide all of our services that we provide in-house, because some individuals just aren't comfortable coming into the centers just yet. We also understand that out in the community, there are areas that we are considered as hotspots, because those particular areas may not be able to have the mass transit to get to us. So now we take our services to them. We have a community outreach team, of which we just included a key member, a workforce community navigator. And that young lady is out in those particular locations where we have partnerships, so that she can provide those services on site. We have, for instance, sites in Lancaster, where it's an 8-mile hike to get to the mass transit. So we are very visible in that area so that we can provide those services to them. Each of the centers have mobile teams in the event that we need to go out and take our services to them, specifically for training services. All right, let's talk about some success. 2022 has been quite a successful year as the economy continues to rebound from the COVID closures. Unemployment claimants are re-entering the workforce quickly as employer demand for talent has increased, given pandemic employee exits due to retirements, career shift workers, and et cetera. We've been successful so far in serving 31,547 job seekers, and this is just data through August. This number today is much higher than what we see here reflected. We've also been successful in helping unemployment insurance claimants obtain employment within 10 weeks after being laid off, and that number is 11,837. Now, this number has grown definitely. Nick and I was just speaking about this, but we've served, as of August, 9,396 employees. Youth and young adult impact. So we serve opportunity youth ages 16 to 24 who are basic skills deficient, parenting youth or pregnant teens, young adults who've been a part of our criminal justice system, and our priority group is foster care young adults. So far, we've served 822 young adults. We also offer scholarships for training that result in industry recognized credentials and a high demand occupational field. So far, we've offered 287 scholarships. We also have a work experience program, which provides work-based learning with those employers that we have agreements with. These opportunities provide for career exploration, building work history and habits, and I'm proud to say that the average rate of pay For our young adults, it's $16.29.
That is big.
Through our youth program, not only are we able to provide work experience and scholarships, but we also provide, support services, need-related payments, community events along with virtual reality. The virtual reality system, which we just adopted and we're very excited about, I think Frank's probably more excited than all of us, provides young adults that go through the work experience program the opportunity to see it before they actually experience their work life. Let's talk about choices. We're very proud to say, we started out just a little bit slow. I think there was a lot of concern about where we were going to end with this particular measure. Thanks to Ronnie, would you stand? Thanks to Ronnie and the rest of the team partnering and following her leadership, we are now exceeding this measure. We are ranked #1 among large board areas. And Nick just shared with me in the July NPR, it shows that we're #3 out of 28 boards. So a lot of questions are around how do we do it. Mr. Newton and I had a conversation about this morning. With, and I think Lisa will speak to the change in landscape, but the change in landscape, we realized, I think TWC did, and thanks to TWC, we've always wanted to provide training opportunities to this population because we knew that they didn't have the skills sometimes that were necessary for them to get that next great employment opportunity. So with the addition of short-term training opportunities and allowing us the opportunity to outreach and provide additional services that they weren't accustomed to, it took a lot of effort. I will admit, it took a lot of different strategies for outreach because we know we have a mandatory population, but we also have an exempt population who can voluntarily participate. We have what we call those individuals who aren't quite receiving their benefits yet. And so we wanted to make sure that we left no stone unturned. So I'm proud to say we are currently at over 100%, I think 108%.
Tara, for people who don't know, choices is specifically the money and Rebecca's talked about in other board meetings, affects people who have the welfare benefit, not food stamp, not SNAP, but this is the discrete population that we must get to work.
Absolutely.
And they have all of the rules that came with welfare reform. So it's very hard to get people to voluntarily start that clock, but that's what you're working on now.
Absolutely. Yeah, the effort for exempts is basically one of which, like you said, Lori, is very difficult to get individuals to participate. And so we've become professional salesmen.
Well, convince people to start the clock that says your benefits will end in 5 years. So that's a tough one.
And currently we have, I think about 12 case managers that oversee this program. I think that's all that I have for my piece, and definitely wanted to turn the mic over to our Vice President, Lisa Boyd.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Boyd. I am an operational vice president for Equus Workforce Solutions, and I've had the privilege to work in Dallas for the last 5 years. So I love this team. Work very closely with them. I also want to recognize our regional director, Melissa Downs. So if you say hi. So, we've heard a lot this morning talking about change landscape, right? And we're seeing this all across the nation, how have things changed? And a lot of that has been driven by job seekers, honestly. People are thinking about work differently since the pandemic. We're seeing, especially in those caregiving occupations, struggles. I know that we've seen it in childcare. We've had centers that are having difficulty hiring. We see it in the health profession where individuals are nervous about returning to work given what happened over the pandemic years. Competition for talent is higher than ever before. Worker priorities have changed and this demand for good jobs, and we've all heard about and read about. And good jobs doesn't just mean pay and benefits, it's a lot more than that. Things like flexible work schedules, opportunity to work remote or in a hybrid fashion. Just lots of change all around. So in June, we hosted a 2-day session with these leaders that are in the room with us this morning, as well as several of our frontline staff. And these kind of conversations are really happening across the country in our projects. And the question is, how do we remain relevant? How do we remain relevant to job seekers? How do we remain relevant to employers? We work in a system and under a law that is very confining at times. So all, the things that both Lynn's talked about with these opportunities, and private funding and things are very exciting because they allow us to do things that aren't within the constraints of much of what we work in. So we brought the group together and we wanted to engage and pivot. We pivoted really successfully during COVID, and we knew we needed to pivot again. We know that people are being left behind in the economic recovery process. Individuals with lower skills, maybe less education attainment. We've seen job automation really increase much more rapidly than we thought. And all of those individuals are being disparately impacted. When we brought the group together, we asked questions about what's working, what are opportunities for improvement, and how do we impact the desired outcomes. 3 priority areas really emerged for us: outreach and engagement, increasing enrollments, and providing relevant services. And we've got action plans for each of these priority areas that we're working through right now. It was exciting because during the 2-day session, we were able to put the groups together. We had 3 work groups, and they were diverse. So they were folks from different centers, they were people at different levels of the organization, and they're continuing this work group effort ongoing as we work through these priorities. So starting with outreach really is about getting access to services to people who need them the most. And we've heard a lot this morning already about taking services outside of brick and mortar. And we've done that for a long time, but we're definitely doing it in a much more expanded way. We've had lots of partnerships across our centers and the neighborhoods we work in. But during the pandemic, during the shutdowns, we had to kind of reinvigorate some of those partnerships. We had leaders change in organizations, just like we had some changes here. And so really getting back in touch and reconnecting and how are we going to work together. Each of the centers has their own outreach plan because the partners vary by center location. And we already talked a little bit about the community navigator role that we have, and that person is kind of helping to shepherd that effort across our centers, as well as really take the lead in owning the relationships across the county relationships with our larger organizations. We're using data. We can go back.
He's speeding up because we're losing our.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Using data. So we use a tool called Jobs EQ, which allows us to really hone in on neighborhoods where we have pockets of high unemployment, where we have lots of opportunity youth. So making sure we're using data to make decisions on where we really focus efforts on our outreach. And I already talked about the community navigator role that we had. As it relates to enrollment, it really is about creating on-ramps to services so that people get on with least barriers and they can access services quickly. We know that programs that we administer have lots of rules and regulations and things that people have to present with in order to be eligible. But really trying to reduce what those steps are. So looking at that whole process, avoiding duplication, not making people tell their story multiple times to multiple individuals, and using virtual tools. We started using things that we never thought we'd be able to do before during the pandemic: electronic signatures, uploading of documents. that we're continuing and looking for other technology ways, to even expand how we make things easier and more user friendly for job seekers. Our centers are already open for in-person services on Saturdays. I think we have kind of a rotating schedule around that, really to accommodate individuals who are working or in school and can't come during the week. We've also got team members that are available virtually during non-traditional hours, I guess I would say, so that individuals can access with us there. I think we've seen a lot more people who are more interested in engaging that way, as Mark said earlier, than actually coming into a brick and mortar location. We are centralizing intakes with the unit. This allows us to go out and not take people off more of the center necessarily. So we've got teams that are able to go out and do expedited enrollments, their partners, and training providers, etc. Also allows us to make sure that when someone comes into the center or engages with us, they often don't know what they need or don't know what to ask for. So by doing this, we're able to access the appropriate funding stream or multiple funding streams that are appropriate for serving that individual. And finally, relevant services. What does that look like? Recognizing that we've got diverse job seeker profiles and how we serve those diverse profiles needs to be different. So we have a partner in North Carolina who worked with Deloitte to develop job seeker personas, and it really is about what is the unique persona need as far as services, frequency of services, etc., and what does their journey look like. And so really honing in on, the system can't be a general system. Not one size does not fit all. And so really looking at expanding on that. Metrics was talked about earlier, but Equus also brings with us LinkedIn Learning. We have a partnership with LinkedIn Learning. So I think we probably all had experience with taking some LinkedIn Learning classes at some point. And there's like 16,000 different learning opportunities there. And so being able to offer that, and really, when Tara talked about choices performance, Texas Workforce Commission was able to expand what they counted as allowable activities last year. And so training became something that people got credit for if they were participating in, which is a game changer for individuals who don't have skills and maybe don't have the education that they need to get a better job and come out of poverty. And understanding what employers need. We've always done a really good job helping employers match to job seekers that we work with. But how do we help employers actually attract talent when it's becoming ever more difficult? I'll give an example. About a month ago, we were doing a town hall to hire people for Equus in Houston because we're taking on a new contract there. And at the end of the town hall, where we tell everybody about Equus and, try to get people excited because we want the incumbent team to come and work for us, we showed our employee appreciation video. And it was just kind of a, spur of the moment decision. But what was really cool about it, one, it was a nice way to close the town hall. But two, they got to see our whole executive leadership team and the diversity of that team. And they got to hear each and every one of us talk about how we value our frontline employees, because without them, communities aren't changing and how important they are to us. And so happy to say we've retained most of those individuals. Maybe probably not just because of the video, but I mean, kind of alternative ways you need to think about attracting talent, right? Employee testimonials maybe, but really expanding kind of what that looks like.
Lisa, you might mention what program you've taken on in Houston, because I question your sanity.
It's called the Financial Aid Support Center, and it's primarily the eligibility office for the system in Houston for both WIOA as well as child care. So my brother Sherry is probably saying you're crazy too. Finally, retention, right? Helping employers with retention. And a couple things we know is Gallup always does an employee engagement survey, right? Where they always ask people, do you have a best friend at work? And it sounds weird, but people like to be where they feel connected, number one. But the second thing is growth opportunities and opportunities to advance. And so the work like what Lynn has been doing for several years now around retail pays and being able to upskill incumbent workers, not only helps those workers advance in their career in that sector, but also brings opportunity to bring new individuals into that employer. So the point is, we realize we have to pivot, and I think we'll continue to pivot over the next several years. Again, in a system that's pretty restrictive and doesn't shift very frequently or very quickly. But we're excited to be your partner in this, and we thank you for the opportunity today and happy to take your questions.
A couple of questions for Mark. First of all, thank you, Mark and Lisa and Tara, for coming and presenting to our board. This is a workforce board, so it's important to hear from our partners, and we appreciate that. There are disruptors in this workspace, obviously. And so, we can learn from people like Walmart, who disrupted the entire retail segment. So keeping that in mind, how are we preparing for a recession if that, as our Fed continues to calm things down and cool things down? How are you preparing for that? I'll follow up with, we heard from the MACB, Lynn, that 70% of a certain area is underemployed. How are you addressing that? And then we also heard from the MACB that there's a personal touch that's in the workforce now, that we can't continue to do the same thing, same way, that employees and employers are reacting differently. So if you could address it.
I think I got all three. So disruption, underemployed, and personal touch. So I think that the disruption that we all got during the pandemic really set us up for success as we're going forward. When I was a lot younger in this system, ARRA, the Great Recession, there was a big story about lines were going to be out the door. There were going to be more people to serve than ever, and that was actually true. Lisa said we're in a system that doesn't move quickly. Federal funds are not going to come in time to save the day for any of us. And I think that the disruption of being able to serve virtually really has set up the entire system to be able to manage a higher volume of people in a much more efficient way, being able to do workshops online, being able to access the training online, being able to connect with the career counselors online is a really big change from day one in the industry when I started, but even 3-4 years ago. I think that disruption where you might have been talking about opening satellite centers all across the community, I think now you're able to invest more money into the programming, into training, and then potentially into serving the people. Underemployed is not a new problem. I think underemployed is an interesting challenge we all face. We've heard many presentations about it. Internally, it's even been a challenge for us. I sorted everybody that gets paid on our payroll, so a little over 3,000 by pay rate, and then sorted it lowest to highest. Internally, our average pay rate is a little over $23 an hour. We had a lady in Kentucky making $12.50, and I called her boss and said, certainly we can do more. And he said, if you do, she'll quit. And she was going to quit because she would lose her insulin subsidy from the state and from the federal government. And so it becomes this really interesting challenge with
Mark, real quick, I gotta interrupt because we got some actions we
Sure.
got to do before.
But I don't want you to not answer that.
We got 2 board members that are gonna be leaving, so we need to, if we can do that real quick.
My apologies to all. We're gonna, very quickly, you and Connie both just jump up quickly, just in case I don't have it.
Mark, don't go sit
Action item.
And thank you both. I know I've got two people here who really need to leave in a hurry, and there's a couple of things to explain. On page 16, Demetria gave you the new contract format. We know you're tired of not having the information, so this format was intended to cut to the chase. It's last year's starting point, this year's starting point, and only the amendments will appear in that column. How cool is that? So hopefully we've answered the questions you typically ask of us. And today's action is just to approve that one contract amendment. Is that correct?
With one contract amendment and then the bottom three for Christine Wynn for financial, client monitoring, and then Juanita for program and QDAT for technology services.
And we are showing last year's sum, this year's sum.
Yeah, thank you very much for this a new format. And I would just request that at the time of the ask, we present what increase it is so that we can go through.
What do you mean, Carter?
Well,
What have we not-
for instance, childcare group, 16% increase. We should present that when we're voting on that item.
We're,
So last month, when I presented, I gave you the increase of overall budget.
Yeah.
Which was the effect of why we were increasing childcare budget. So this time, after the request, what I have to do is lay it out so you can see it like that. So what you see, the amount that was approved for childcare group, Equus, Dallas College, and Equus Destination Success for Dallas. Those amounts were approved last month. I just put it in the chart so you can see the comparison for the previous.
it's answering the question last month, Carter.
Yeah, I understand that. I just think when we present that, each-
Well, and we will in the future be the
That's all I'm
format. If
asking.
this is everything.
That's
If
all
there's
I'm
something else
requesting.
you need to ask,
Thank
add, Ken, you two were most out. Anything else we need to add to the chart is what today's conversation was as well. Nothing. Okay.
I trust Carter.
So we have one amendment and
God bless you both.
3 new contracts and 1 amendment, right? Okay, we're gonna do all of this. If you want to, or we'll keep going.
Keep going, keep going.
All right, the procurement, we hit a big buckle. We asked you last month to approve Toshiba. Toshiba didn't want the contract for the amount. Everybody decided that what they put in was not what they did. I thought that was innovative. 2 were underpriced and 1 was overpriced, that we had quoted a higher price than what they did. So we sent everybody a form and said, please state your real price because we're getting tired of talking to all of you. So they did. And what came of that is Novatech moved back to the top of the list. 65% of the score was price, but we did look at everything in the proposals. So we're hoping Novatech will not turn us down, that they have affirmed their prices, $369,703, slightly more than what we were hoping to do at $319, but still well under 5 and 600,000, which would be another outside figure, 36 months. I do need that affirmed in action. And then the next is Opportunity Youth. We tried, we put a procurement out. We have one that we would move ahead. It's a nice package, 40 students. Serco and Career Team both want to pretty much do what Equus is doing in youth. It was not innovative enough to suggest it's the 14 elements, et cetera. But what Serco offered was some outstanding suggestions, we think, on community engagement of young adults, particularly in the Hispanic community. So we would like to continue to meet with them, and we'll bring that back in October if it's such. And then the last one, they explain the holidays and childcare real quick.
Holidays, currently there are 9 holidays that we pay our providers for, and we want to align it with other neighborhood boards and with the federal holidays. So we're asking to change the policy from 9 to 12. And that would be days that are allowed for providers that we will reimburse them. And they could also use some of those days for professional development.
We sort of fell out of vogue in that one. with
What about
them. So they took holidays because they were real holidays, but they couldn't get paid for them. So this pays those providers. Is that everything?
just a word of caution on the copiers to make sure that they have the product
Yes.
in their warehouses. I know that there's some supply chain issues, and the last thing you want is your partner to not be able to push the green button because there's no button there.
And we even asked, are your parts made in America? Are your things assembled in America? And the coolest thing, Toshiba said, no, but all of our toner is. In fact, we're so prolific, we're sending it out of the country. But he told me, he said, but you don't have toner. You don't care if you have a copier, it's a doorstop. And he's like, okay. Here. Oh, sorry for that, and sorry for rushing us. I don't believe there should be any abstentions in this. I don't see that it affects the TWC, childcare group, or Irving ISD. Is that correct? All right.
Sorry, his mother. Dave.
But yeah, but that affects the vendors. You can choose to abstain if you like, Rebecca. That would be fine. It's a policy, but it doesn't actually affect childcare group. They're just gonna pay people for it.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, everybody, real quick, for the contract agreements and the procurement,
We have a Carter and a Michelle.
Carter and Michelle,
Uh-huh.
all in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? And
Would be, Mr.
motion's passed.
Chair, Mr. Board Chair, may I just make one statement at the board level?
Yes, ma'am.
I think this is the most critical part of our job and our work with the board. And while I appreciate our representations, it's great. I mean, I trust everything that the board, and I'm a vote on everything. But I just need some discussion, because I mean, you all do this all the time, and maybe everyone else is up to speed on it. I just feel rushed. And I'm okay.
I could even make comments about something that's minimal with the package. We could have a conversation about that, but at the same time.
And that may be something we have to look at extending the meeting, because
Yeah.
while we had these presentations going and a 9 o'clock stop, we had several questions on and frankly, the education we got with the 3
Yeah.
was, we needed it.
Oh,
We have to have that, but the questions that came on board afterwards, that takes up some of the time, so we can move the meeting 7:30 to 9:30, and we need to discuss that, because
Yeah.
it is rough here at the end to get people
And
in.
maybe we flip it. Maybe we talk about the business, but we can talk about that.
Yeah, we talk about it later.
Okay.
A good point, Michelle, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for hanging out.
Thank you, ladies.
Mark, I think you're back up.
Hey, Mark, I'm embarrassed asking questions. So if
You already did, Mark.
If you could just provide the presentation to us, that might.
It's a yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
I like getting a break, because then you can put your thoughts together. So it's not not quite as memorable.
He wrote it down.
I was gonna tell you all about, like, I want to get land in the metaverse and have virtual service. I would just like to say, you know, apprenticeship training and some of those other things, those are gonna address under, those are critical components to the program. And then that personal touch, you can't close your centers. You cannot close your centers. There has to be someone in an office where people can come see people and really get that hands-on training or help, because, you know, just like being able to read your faces and see if you understand what I'm saying. I told a boss 20 years ago, I was like, I hate it when that lady comes in your office and complains, because I'm on the phone and can't see her. And it's the same for us. You don't really understand the need that somebody has unless you can have them face to face.
So you can put it in all caps when you text or email, but you're not really sure what that means. Does that mean they're mad? Does that mean they're happy? You don't know, but when they're in front of you or on the phone, you can pretty much get an idea one way or another.
Mr. Chair, Board, thank you very much for the time today.
Thank you for making the trip from Tampa, and certainly Tara Lee, thank you. I believe
Performance economic snapshot, quality, and CFO reports are all in your packet. I know we are long over. I truly believe it was time to take a moment though and look at all of the work. And I thank Lynn McBee so much for kicking that off. Lynn Hoffman for showing us what we've got that we never talk about in these meetings because it isn't government grant funded. I don't know, Ashley, was there anything to point to in the CFO?
Nothing out of the ordinary.
We are turning the corner with Bank of America, Bank of Texas. Yeah. To actually get that in place, we will shift all of our business. We've been at it since January. That is not an easy, you know,
So first the positive, Vegas this week.
All right, all right.
And congratulations on the measures. Looks good.
Excellent.
Well, there's one that slipped, but Tara assured me it's gonna come back up, and that was service to employer. There's a thumbs up coming out of the press.
With that being said, again, thank you all for hanging around, hanging with us,
Yeah.
for the board members that have been able to stay, and those online. Louis, Dan, Deb, Joanne, appreciate, although we've had these presentations, we don't see your faces on there, but thank you for joining us. And with that being said, we are adjourned.
Louis, Dan, Deb, and Joe. That's who we call. We didn't really call those. We have. I don't.